I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
A new book celebrates Duluth's can-do spirit, building on generations of leadership in the city. Duluth's last 3 mayors are here to talk about it.
The Lester River Rendezvous celebrates 20 years this weekend. You'll learn the life of a voyageur if you join the fun.
And we'll have the week's economic headlines from the editors of Business North.
It's all coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. And Denny, it looks like our region could receive its first freezing weather of the season tonight.
I heard reports snow was seen north of Virginia in the Britt area.
I actually saw some flurries in my own yard as I was heading in tonight.
Keep it in your yard.
And speaking of that, we have a flurry of worthy guests to start us off tonight.
Yeah, so that we do. Thank you very much, Julie. Well, in 2004, the book, The Will and the Way, featured stories written by local leaders that were influential in shaping the city of Duluth to that point. Now fast forward to September 2018 and Volume 2 is being released, picking up with the next generation of leaders shaping this city. And speaking of leaders, we've got 3 of them here with us tonight. Emily Larson, of course, is the current mayor of Duluth. She is serving her first term in office. Don Ness, former Duluth mayor who enjoyed a 90% approval rating while he was in office. Former Mayor Gary Doty served 12 years in the city's highest office. Welcome. Good to see all 3 of you here tonight.
Thank you.
This might be a first on Almanac North. 3 mayors at one time.
Actually, it's a first anywhere.
Well, it could very well
It's the first time we've appeared anywhere together.
Oh, no kidding.
Kidding.
Well, Don, of the 3 mayors that are seated here tonight, you've been deeply involved in The Will and the Way Volume 2. Tell us about it. What's it all about?
Well, you know, after the first Will and the Way came out, which was a project of Monty Goldfine and Don Larson, I was on the city council at the time. Gary was mayor, and I was really inspired by the book. And I reached out to Don Larson, and we kind of sparked a friendship. And we'd have lunch from time to time, and we'd talk about the stories of the book. And he was on the city council in the past, and I just found him to be a fascinating leader. And we always talked about, what if we did a Volume 2 someday? And now Don is 89 years old. His mind is still sharp. He was heavily involved with the entire project, doing editing and the like. And he is just so proud of this book, and I was so proud to help him out with it.
Mm-hmm. Gary, as Don mentioned, you were mayor at the time the first one came out. Are you surprised that so much has happened in Duluth that warrants a second edition or a second volume?
Oh, no, what's nice about this is that it shows the changes and the progression of, certain leaders that were involved in the first book. That's changed to the second group of people, and now that's been passed on down to another group of people. And if I sat in a business meeting now, I probably wouldn't know 3/4 of the people that are there. But there have always been people to step up when other people get older and retire and move on. As I thought about this tonight, I was thinking of some of the names that Denny perhaps would remember. The Goldfines and
Sure.
the Rob Links of the world,
Right.
and the Sandbolts of the world, Robert Mars, and all those
Knew
people.
them all. Yep, know them all.
They were all very influential in the years that I was mayor. Whenever I needed something in development in particular, they would all be there, right there to help me. But then I left, a new group came on, and then another group beyond that. So, the city will always survive, and we're just getting better and better and better as the years go on.
Mayor, let's talk about the spirit of Duluthians a little bit. What makes Duluthians so community-minded? We seem to be.
Yeah, I think we have a really authentic sense of place. The thing about Duluth is people who live here, they feel it. It is like in our bones. It is part of who we are. And so I think that comes through in these stories, because it isn't just these kind of formulaic situations about the city driving, that this is really citizen and resident led projects.
Sure.
And that's what's really awesome about it. And I think it's the groundswell that kind of bubbles up and gets people engaged. But this book is so Duluth in the best of ways because, you know, you read the first part of it and they're these names that, you know, you've known or you've heard from. And then you go through the book and it is the future. It's the current and it's the future. And it's just so exciting to see it all in one place.
Until you look at the index of the book, you forget about all of these projects that have been taking place over the last 15, 20, 35 years here in town.
That's right.
There's a slew of stuff that's been happening in this community.
Don, maybe you can talk about some of those and give people a sense of some of the stories that are in the pages of that book.
Yeah, it's a neat mix between some development success stories, bringing AAR to town and their 300 to 400 good paying manufacturing jobs. Also community initiatives like CHUM, you know, that the faith community rallied together to provide these important services, and the Steve O'Neill apartments. Also kind of how different neighborhood groups have come together with a vision, like in Old Downtown Duluth, the North Shore Theater, Amsoil Arena, and on and on. And so there's over 30 different projects. 42 volunteer authors contributed their time and talents to the book. And it's fun to see the different tones and the different voices coming through. And oftentimes it's the voice that they use in their writing that also represents what they, how they approach those
Because
projects.
these are all people who were intimately involved in the project.
It's a first-hand account of that. And that's the other piece of that that's neat, is that we focus a lot of time and energy of what's happening right now. We also have wonderful historians like Tony Durkins who are looking at Duluth's history 50, 100 years ago. But what we have to do is be deliberate about capturing the stories, those first-hand accounts from the leaders while their memories are still fresh, but also benefiting from a little bit of perspective. 5, 10 years go by and you see these projects in a different light.
Now, Gary, you've been out of office for a little bit. How has the city changed since you left office?
Well, it's gotten better. It really has, because we've had leaders like Don and Emily that have taken it beyond what we did. You know, I think everybody has a little bit different approach to how they put things together and what their focus is going to be. When I was mayor, my focus was economic development because I think we were sorely lacking. Prior to my time coming on, Mayor Fido had his focus on the downtown development and the tourism aspect, and I took on the development. And then Don came in and he had his own role, which was kind of bringing the younger community and get them involved in what's going on. And as we move on and as I evaluate what Mayor Larson's done, for example, she's done a lot having to do with housing in the community, redevelopment of areas like the Lincoln Park and whatever. So there's always something there, but each mayor takes on their own personality and their own kinds of projects, things that they're interested in.
As elected officials, mayors often get the credit or the blame, depending on whether a project is successful or a failure. And in glancing through the book, preparing for this and thinking about talking to all of you, it struck me that you all were in those leadership positions, but how many people were underneath you supporting all of these projects? That really comes out in the book.
No, that's right. And I think, you know, when you are a mayor, you have this one singular role and you're kind of in this lane, but you know, you have 800 or whatever number of staff people who are activating, you know, the mission and vision of the organization of the city, but then you have all of these community partners too. And I actually think a good mayor does take the blame for a lot of stuff, whether it's their fault or not. That is part of the role, which is to say, I have a part of responsibility here. We all do, sometimes when something falls apart, but I think that's good leadership. But it's also the best leadership to say when something goes well, you move out of the way and you acknowledge that there were parts of it you had something to do with, but that, you know, it was the groundswell of people and support that really got things over the finish line.
Any or all of you can answer this. When you first step into the mayor's office after winning the election, and you close the door and you sit down in that chair at that big desk and you look out over the city from your windows and you say to yourself, I'm the mayor. Well, what do you think about now? What do you do now? What goes through your mind?
Well, I'll start.
Sure.
First of all, what you said is exactly what Marcia and I said right after I got elected. We were driving down the freeway and we looked out over the lake and it came to both of us at the same time. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're the mayor. And then it's, what am I going to do? And I brought Clarence Maddie back to City Hall, and I called Clarence the night before, and I said, Clarence, I'm the mayor.
I need you.
It's kind of like the dog chasing the car. I caught it. Now what do I do? He says, Gary, he says, you come tomorrow morning, and believe me, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge task,
Yeah.
and it's a scary thing stepping in that office,
is,
not really
yeah.
knowing what you're going to do.
Sure.
But you have your ideas, those things that you campaign. I say, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and then you have to put the right people in the right places, and that's why I was successful. It had not a whole lot to do with me. It had to do with the people that I placed in the right positions.
That's right.
Anyone else going to take a stab at this one?
Well, I was 33 years old when I stepped in, and it was 2008, just as the world's economy was imploding, and it was kind of trying to fix the plane while you're flying it. And we actually just celebrated Dave Montgomery's retirement from the city, and somebody who has served both my administration and Emily's very well. And he was a real key hire for us, and was a big part in the success stories that we have in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. In fact, it's so interesting. I was just relaying this. It might be in part of the epilogue that I wrote here too, but I do remember really clearly sitting in that seat. It's like embedded in my brain. And Don and I had just spent a few minutes together, and I think you become mayor at noon on the day of your inauguration, and then you swear in and do things later. And so you're sitting there, and I actually felt really lonely. You are kind of going, where do I begin? It is deceptively quiet, and you're alone, and you're sitting there, and you're like, I've spent a year building a team and a vision and excitement and strategy, and then you're just sitting in this room. It's an amazing moment. It's terrifying, and it's exciting all at once.
Wow.
The book talks a lot about big projects, big visions, and often in those cases there are a lot of naysayers and critics who come out of the walls and have different ideas. In your experience as leaders of a city, does that criticism and those people coming forward, does that make projects better?
They can, depending on the nature of the criticism and whether it's designed to be constructive and to make the project better, or if it's just kind of throwing bombs and taking the easy political hits. And I think a healthy community definitely needs to engage in dialogue and disagreement, and that does and can sharpen it. But at the end of the day, a community needs to be deliberate about being committed to seeing projects through, being committed to changing those projects, to improve them as you go. But there are always 1,000 reasons for a project not to happen, and only one for it to see it to completion. And you have to stay focused on that one that one final goal.
But ultimately,
go ahead, Gary.
It goes back to the last question. What's it like sitting in that big chair? Ultimately, as mayor, you have to make the decision. You're going to have people. Every project that you have, there are people against it, and there are certain people that are against every project. And you have to take all of the input, and you have to say, you know what? Maybe we have to go a different direction. Maybe we have to abandon what we're doing, but maybe we're going to go ahead. And some people are upset with that when that happens. But when it's all over, again, what we talked about, you have to take responsibility because
rather
you're in
quickly,
charge.
what does the city of Duluth still need, Mayor?
Well, we still need people's dedication and commitment and vision and encouragement and challenge. I mean, the items that we're seeing emerge as projects are things that are happening because people are pushing us. We need people to stay engaged.
And the book is hot off the press.
And we really need people to buy the book. It's at Vickers Bookstore, Zenith Bookstore, the Electric Fetus, Lake Superior Magazine, Duluth Grill, $20. Wonderful stories, and it's really a labor of love, and we encourage folks to buy the book.
Mayor Emily, Mayor Don, Mayor Gary, this was a lot of fun.
It was
Thanks
fun
for
for
being
us
here
too.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you visit Duluth's Lester Park on Saturday, you may feel like you've stepped back into history. The park has been transformed into a Voyageur village for the 20th annual Lester River Rendezvous. There will be all kinds of hands-on activities that will simulate the life of the 17th century voyageurs in the region. And joining us to tell us more is Don Mendoza, the coordinator of the Lester River Rendezvous. And Don, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you very much.
For those who have never been to the Lester River Rendezvous, or maybe not any rendezvous, tell us what it's all about.
Well, it's really an exciting time, and listen to the support from all the past mayors and the ones that we have right now. The encouragement is what we have built and working on is getting the community involved. Not only to help put it on, but to support, and then they show up and they enjoy it. We keep it really focused for families, for kids to enjoy it, and it just is. They're adding on more and more people coming in all the time.
Don, are a number of schools being invited to the event this weekend?
Yes, and this is what we did, is Thursday, being yesterday and all day today, we had educational days from outlying school districts are coming in, and we had a great number of both days, almost 600 students for those 2 days.
Can you describe some of the types of reenactments that people can see and experience and learn from while they're there?
Well, what the students learned today was really great, and the public will see it tomorrow. They are going back in times where the settlers, they explain on how they made their own clothing. They did their own cooking from digging a hole in the ground. And there was blacksmiths and the beading and making of shoes. Everything was scratch. Remember, there were no sewing machines in those days. And even used porcupine quills to do the sewing, et cetera, and so on. So it's really of great interest. They stay right the fact the way it was.
So those who will be attending over the weekend, Don, they can purchase some of these items that are being made?
Well, I don't believe that the Voyageurs are that handy to sell their product, but they love to explain it to us, and they do
other crafts might be for sale, or?
Oh yes, I have a lot of arts and crafts people that are there. We're going to fill the park. We have a great selection of bands in there with music, and the food is something to talk about. Don't tell your doctor.
Don't tell your doctor.
It's delicious.
Now going back to the Voyageurs and the reenactors, are most of them local, or are these folks that really get into this and go to different rendezvous around the
These are
state?
dedicated people. If you want to call it a hobby, it's a hobby for them, and they are really, really good, and they can explain everything right down to the last nickel. It's amazing.
What do you hope people who attend will take away, other than something they purchase, but what do you hope they will take away from their experience there, Don?
We try to really focus for the great committee that we've been having this year is to feel that they are being entertained and they're learning something, not only with the Voyageurs, but the selection of the craft people locally in this area. Be surprised that there are really a lot of talent for leathercraft and paintings and woodwork. Oh, it goes on. I mean, I enjoy it every year myself. And back to the food again. You're going to like it. You have to come there. We have 3 new sponsors that I can't even speak of them. You have to come to see it to really know what I'm telling you. It's worth your try.
So how did you get interested in the Voyageurs and become part of this event, which has been going on for 20 years now?
Exactly. This is our 20th year anniversary. And if I have it right, the second year I volunteered. And I thought, this will be fun. I'll try something new. I was open for it. And that was 18 years ago. I'm still there. I love it, though. I really do. And to see the public come and the support. You talk about community getting together on both sides of the road here. And it's amazing. It's fun. Old neighbors, new friends. the smiles, the feedback that I get makes me feel good, and we put it back to work on meetings throughout the following year.
For anything to last 20 years or beyond, obviously you're doing things right. How has the event changed over those 20 years?
Well, the enthusiasm has grown. I mean, we started small, like just about anything else that you can imagine, and it expands, and more people are coming. We have to really get our wheels spinning. We brought on the shuttle train, which has been a shot in our arm, a big plus for us. The ridership on 26th Avenue East and 46th Avenue East, families can board it. It's free. And
Nice.
it just goes on, and people, they love it. The parking, hey, there wasn't a parking lot to speak of. They're all over town, but they walk, they love it.
What do you hear from the students and the teachers on educational days like you had today and yesterday?
That's a very good question, and I can honestly answer it. Every teacher and feedback counselor, you name it, as they leave, I ask them, how was it? How did you like it? And they are so excited. We had some first-timers this time, and they said, we're coming back next year. The students, they sit around and start listening, and the attention span, it is not a problem. They love it, their enthusiasm. The kids will come to me today. I'm coming back with my mom and dad. We'll be here. We'll see you tomorrow. That makes a guy feel good. It's worth the whole effort and trying to do your best with what we have.
I think it's important that you tell us maybe the hours of the rendezvous and the exact location so people can start to plan.
Okay, of course, we're located at Lester Park, just past 60th and Avenue East and Superior Street. We're open from 10 until 5, and the show is yours. And everybody is welcome. We want to see you. And I'll be there saying thank you for coming.
Is this Sunday too or no?
No, we're just one day,
sure.
just tomorrow now for the public.
And Don, why is it important for people to know and understand this part of our history in this region?
Well, where the Voyageurs do such a nice job, what they show you, and it's a memory back from, if you recall American history, there it is, but it's like a hands-on lesson. It's so important, and really to know how our country really grew, and you and I are sitting in the luxury of everything. It was never, it was manufactured. They had to produce and make it themselves. So we walk away from it thinking you learn something every time, every year. There's always some feedback that you never thought about.
All right,
Good.
Don Mendoza, Lester River Rendezvous this weekend. Hope people get a chance to get out and see it.
Thank you very
All the
much.
best. Thanks, Don.
Great.
It's time now for the business news from the folks at Business North. Fraser Shipyards in Superior has been selected to build a 26-car ferry for Miller Boat Line. Miller operates ferries that run in Ohio between two of the Lake Erie's most popular recreation destinations. The new all-steel ferry will be 140 feet long with a near 40-foot beam and features a fully accessible main deck, cabin, and restroom. The vessel will carry 20% more cargo space than Miller's largest current vessel. Fraser will start building the new ferry this fall, with completion slated for 2019.
Two of the largest promotion companies in the region announced plans to create a New Year's Eve extravaganza in Duluth. New Year's by the Lake will be presented at 4 venues: the Graceland Ballroom, Moorish Room, Blackwater Lounge, and the North Shore Theater. All are located in the same block of downtown Duluth. Lundeen Productions and Twin Ports Entertainment are the promoters. Tracy Lundeen said the event is long overdue and will give people a place where they can dress up and usher in the new year in style.
Anger and frustration boiled over among audience members Monday at a town hall meeting in Nashwauk. The locals want Cleveland Cliffs to take over state-controlled mineral leases associated with the former Esser Steel Minnesota mine and processing plant project. Governor Mark Dayton told participants the bankruptcy court, not the state, selected the developer. We were dealt certain cards, and that's what we have to deal with, according to Minnesota DNR Commissioner Tom Landwehr. Mesabi Metallics said it will complete construction of a pellet plant by the end of next year, but many in the crowd were doubtful. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
We're out of time tonight, but you can still call with a comment. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. And visit the WDSE website for the latest on our program schedule, news about your favorite PBS shows, and events coming up here at the station. And Denny, it is time to cover the garden. Jack Frost is on his way tonight.
I think Jack Frost is going to be a busy man. Could be well decorated by morning.
I was just thinking I have to snip all my herbs tonight.
There you
before I
go.
to bed.
Cover up.
For Denny and the crew here at WDSE, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.